Hey guys, so here's the results of day one of losing 10 pounds in 3 weeks. First, a reminder of what this is all about. Hey guys, for the next 21 days, I'm going to be doing something stupid. Up to 1% of your total body weight per week, it can be done reasonably. After that, it becomes increasingly unreasonable. And I intend to demonstrate that to you by being unreasonable. All right, I promised excruciating details, so strap in. Here's the results of the first day of this. So first, let's talk about what 1% of your body weight is, so you can figure out what I gotta do here. Currently, I'm almost 214 pounds. 0.5% of my current body weight would be a pound a week. 3 pounds per week, that would be about 1.4% of my body weight. 1.5% of my body weight every week. Now, we should all understand by now, calories in, calories out, calorie deficit. A 500 calorie deficit, 500 times 7, 3,500 calories is about the pound, is the energy equivalent of about a pound of those that dietary fat stored in your fat cells. If 500 is a pound, 1,500 is 3 pounds. So I need an average calorie deficit every single day of over 1,500 calories. I want to use more than I'm taking in by at least 1,500 calories worth every single day. So if, hypothetically speaking, I consumed about 1,700 calories a day, but I used a total of something around 3,400 calories a day, that would create a calorie deficit of around 1,700 calories, right? 17 times 2, 34. Diet and exercise. Diet, I only eat 1,700 calories. Exercise, I move around enough to need 3,400. So let's talk about the calories out first. Let's talk about the exercise first. What does it take for a 6'6" man who weighs 214 to need at least 3,400 calories worth of energy? Well, let's see what I did, and then we'll talk about how I did it. Resting energy, a little over 2,000. That is everything my body needed to do, it needed energy to do, that was less physically intense than like the walk that I'm doing right now, the walk that you're seeing now. Active energy, the type of activity like you're seeing now and everything more intense than that, I burned over 1,400. Active energy plus resting energy, 36 and change, around 37. Meaning if I successfully locked in the diet part on top of that activity, 1,700 in, that would leave me in a calorie deficit of almost 2,000 calories. If I kept that up for 7 days straight, that would be a weekly calorie deficit of almost 1,400, which would imply probably losing close to 4 pounds. But already, let's talk about reality. Am I going to be able to keep that up 7 days straight? No breaks, no nothing, no rest days, no slacking off, no life interfering. Very unlikely I can maintain that level of consistency. However, my goal being just over 3 pounds per day, that's a lot of wiggle room. That is a lot of margin of error. And that's the first lesson. The first lesson is this is what you gotta do. You gotta overshoot in anticipation of life getting in the way and Murphy's Law taking effect and preventing you from being absolutely consistent every single day. Meaning in order to set myself up for success in a goal of losing 3 pounds per week or a little bit more, I gotta actually aim for something even more unrealistic. 1.5% of my body weight means I really gotta shoot for 2. Anticipate failing hitting 2 in order to hit the 1.5. Now just from that already, doesn't it seem far more reasonable to shoot for 1% of your body weight in order to succeed at hitting 0.5%? All right. But let's see how active that actually is, and let's see what is up with the calories. Segue into the calories, segue into the diet. Here's about the energy burn I did yesterday. This is from a total daily energy expenditure calculator, estimating for my size and my body composition, what general physical activity level I would need to burn how much energy. And we'll see here what I did yesterday qualifies as heavy exercise. It's not athletic though. That's notable. And as you'll see, when you factor in the variations on these watches, on these calculators, it very well might have been closer to moderate what I did yesterday. Because here's what I did. I walked for an hour, kind of at the same pace as you're looking at now while I'm doing this TikTok. I also jogged for an hour at a very, very slow pace. If you know anything about running, that's not a very fast pace. And then I walked home. You might say 2.5, 3 hours, oh my God, that's so much exercise. But there's more to it, there's more details. And I'm sorry if these details are literally becoming excruciating, but it's important. This is all really stuff that matters. Because if you look at how I was active during the day, here is all that activity I just described. But here's the entire rest of the day. The rest of the day, I was basically completely inactive. Here's it listed as steps. Oh my God, 20,000 steps. It seems like so much. I got that practically all done during those 2 or 3 hours. Look at this sample time period from the entire rest of the day. This entire hour, sample hour, I only spent 14 calories worth of active energy. By comparison, in this 1 hour over here, close to 500 calories. The lesson being, all of this walking energy, like all that calorie burn from walking, I don't have to do that all just in one bout, in 1 hour, devoting an hour to that. If all of this and this was spread out over here instead of all being bunched up here, my daily exercise could have been done in an hour. Meaning a very high level of daily activity could be accomplished with just 1 hour's work. All it really requires is not just sitting on my ass for the entire rest of the day. I happen to like sitting on my ass for the entire rest of the day, so I get all my activity done in one bunch. All right, we have practically no time left for diet, for nutrition, but let's get into it. Because this number here is important. Basal metabolic rate. That is actually the resting metabolic rate. The amount of energy you burn just being completely at rest, just sitting around. And a rule of thumb for health and for dieting is you never want to cut lower than that. Part of the reason why I call this challenge stupid for me to do is because I'm doing that. I'm getting 1,700 calories a day, not 2,000. But in the 2 minutes we have left, let me show you why that's crazy, not crazy. Why it's possible, but what it takes. So in these last 2 minutes, let me do a what I ate in a day and show you all the nutritional information of what that means. For breakfast, 2 cups of coffee with whole milk. I'm including this 1 cup glass just for scale. For Hobbit second breakfast, I had oats with trail mix and an apple cut up in there with a cup, 1 cup of skim milk. Lunch, more milk, hard-boiled egg, whole wheat bread with butter, that's toast, and clementines. And look also how these meals are matching dietary recommendations for a balanced diet. I also happen to be doing the Nutrivore 90 challenge while I'm doing this. Half fruit, vegetables, a quarter of starchy food, a quarter of protein food. Fruit, starchy food, protein food. And the same rules apply for dinner. Chicken soup, vegetables, and the glass for scale. And here's the nutrition. There's the coffee. Here's the breakdown on the overnight oats. Pause the screen if you want to see this stuff. And when we get to the nutrition, you'll see it took me 45 minutes or about an hour in the morning to plan this diet out to be as nutritionally complete as it is, even though I'm using healthy food. Colloquially, whole food, nutrient-dense food, high volume food. But also note it's nothing weird. Like there's no chia seeds in here. There's no quinoa. And look at the nutrition. Look at that fiber. See, saturated fat under the limit. And now look at all the vitamins. See how all the vitamins are over the RDA for me? And this is the reason why for this challenge I'm not that concerned about being under resting metabolic rate levels of calories. See, it's all hitting everything. See how it's all hitting everything? But that would be impossible to do just logging as I ate. That all had to get figured out ahead of time. All right, that was day 1. Tomorrow I'll go more in-depth about nutrition.